Hi, welcome to Psych-sip Sessions, Episode 1, Tea Time Beginnings. Meet Claire and Megan. I'm your host, Claire.
And I'm Megan, the co-host for this podcast.
So just to introduce ourselves, my name is Claire Lee. I'm currently a third-year student in the University of Wollongong, majoring in psychological science.
I'm Megan, and I'm also from University of Wollongong, and I'm a year 2 student.
So more on our hobbies and interests. So what I like to do is that I love playing video games, reading, hanging out with friends, and having a sweet treat, and of course, taking naps as well.
Well, as for me, I do enjoy doing boxing and spinning, and I've also recently started to read self-help books, and I love cafe hopping and playing video games as well.
Okay, so Psych-sip Sessions is a podcast that seeks to bridge this gap by creating a relaxed and conversational environment where listeners can learn about psychology in a bite-sized, digestible manner, which is also enjoyable, combining both the comfort of having casual tea time with the depth of psychological discussions. So this is inspired actually by our common love for matcha and cafe hopping as a pastime. So today with me, I have a matcha latte.
Well, for me, I had a normal milk latte.
Moving on, so more about ourselves. So Megan, what made you decide to change your interest since both of us were actually not psychology students prior to this?
Yeah, so previously I was a pharmaceutical science student in poly, and when I was in year 3 back then, I realized that I was no longer interested in pursuing a career in pharmacy or in the pharmaceutical industry. And personally, I cannot foresee myself working in that industry, especially after my intern. I decided that decision. And at the same time, I always had a deep ongoing fascination with the human mind and behavior, which is why I decided to pursue or change my focus, which is to psychology. And I also would like to know more about how we interact with people every day and why people behave the way they do. So what about you, Claire?
So I was actually a chemistry major. So what made me change was that the fact that I specialize in cosmetics and fragrance chemistry. And it was really tough because math was not my forte. Same goes with science and physics. So I really had a hard time despite it being something I'm still very much into. But I'm also someone with multiple interests. So the reason why I actually chose the psychological science program at UOW was because of the fact that they offer a very holistic view of psychology, and I was specifically very interested in neuroscience topics as well as forensic psychology, that is, because of the fact that I do have a slight background in forensic chemistry, so it was something that I thought I could get into or know more about, and also because I do have a very fascination with the medical field, with like healthcare and whatnot, neuroscience being something that always fascinated me. And I was actually planning to go to med school. I was really interested in radiology or occupational therapy or like neuroscience. It's just something that fascinated me, and I think I'm just an individual who really loves to learn. I really love learning in general, and Megan thinks I'm really crazy for saying this, but I really love going to school and I don't want to stop being a student. So
You still have 2 more weeks to make full use of your student
don't say
your student card.
Don't say that. But basically, I really do enjoy learning, and I am very passionate about learning, which is why I dread the fact that I'm graduating soon. So those were the reasons why I did choose this specific program at UOW. And as for future plans, there is nothing concrete because I am still somewhat interested in going to med school, so I'm just keeping my options open. I'm someone who is I think I joke about it a lot. Sometimes I tell Megan I'm going to be a zookeeper, or I'm going to be like a mortician, or I'm going to be a voice actor. And my friends are like, yeah, that's totally normal. That's so Claire. That's such a Claire thing to say. So I don't exactly want to be tied down, and there's just so many fields of psychology that I find so fascinating, and limiting yourself is just not giving yourself a fair chance.
Right. Okay, so for me, right, I think my future plans are still pretty vague because I change my plans a lot. But
You're indecisive?
yes, Claire will know that I'm someone that's super indecisive and I tend to like change my decisions. But as for now, or something that has been constant, will be that I'm definitely very interested in the forensic or criminal psychology field because I am very passionate and interested in criminal behavior. So, fun fact, right, was that when I was young, I used to watch almost all the episodes from Crime Watch from every season, and I would like just stay on the couch and just watch it for hours. And it got so bad to the point where like I think my parents had to remind me to do my homework because I got so engrossed in like every episode. So that was like how I find out that I was definitely interested in like criminal behavior for sure. So I decided to focus on that field. And I think it has been something that I was very interested in ever since I started like psychology. So as of now, I'm trying to work towards it. And hopefully I can, work in the industry, in other industries in the future. So yeah, so that's my current plan for now. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Megan. So now on our personal mental health journeys that inspired the podcast. So personally, I've always loved podcasts, and this is something that I've always really wanted to do for a long time because I love philosophical and deep conversations that are thought challenging. I love a really good riveting conversation. So growing up, I've always had signs of anxiety, and I would blank out after school sometimes where I don't know how I got home whatsoever. And definitely because I moved from overseas when I was little, and due to that I had a identity crisis where I feel like I didn't really belong anywhere. And even when during vacation where I would go back home, people can tell that I wasn't from there, and through conversations they realize that I'm not only uncultured, but also I'm really bad at my native language. And due to that, one of my biggest problems was that those were the people that I thought I genuinely belonged with, which really hurt me because I thought I belonged, but they saw me as an outsider. And due to that, this caused my identity crisis problem, not feeling like I belonged anywhere growing up and not fitting in at school either.
Okay, so for me, right, I think my personal story would be more of bullying. So for me, I think growing up, I used to be someone who is extremely quiet and shy. Like I can go to school and not talk for the entire day at all, not talk to anyone, and like not even to my teachers. So I think because of that, I used to be an easy target for bullying. So it got so bad to the point I almost wanted to change schools. And I mean, I did talk to my parents about it, but they didn't really go with the idea because they felt like, oh, what if the same thing happened to me again in a new school? Then it will not be of any difference. So I just stuck with it, graduated from primary school, and I thought, oh, I can make new friends in secondary school. But the bullying continued again in secondary school until I was 16. So yeah, so I think I have experienced almost all sorts of bullying, passive bullying, taunting, and even threatening, and also like repeated harassments. And I think at that time I didn't really know how to make friends, and I think I only understood that when I went to poly. And as someone who is very particular with the choice of friends I make, so yeah, growing up I didn't really have much friends. And I'm not saying that I have a lot of friends right now, but I have a few good friends than like many friends who may not be the most genuine types of people. And also because of this experience, I tend to want to be well liked by others. But I realize it's impossible to do so because that means I'm not being myself. I'm just living with other people's expectations. So I think there's this one quote or advice like basically tells me to not live to satisfy the expectations of others, because that means I'm not having any freedom to be myself. So having the courage to be happy also includes the courage to be disliked.
Right. Thank you for sharing, Megan. I'm also unfortunately not a stranger to bullying because of the fact that I didn't fit in and the kids at school thought that I was really strange. And also because of the fact that growing up I was isolated and I wasn't socialized as a kid. Due to that, I didn't know how to interact with others, which a bunch of those reasons led to me being bullied and an outcast as well. And because of the fact that I was isolated, I lacked a lot of socialization. I couldn't pick up social cues. And then due to that, I was further isolated. And due to all that, me and my sister were actually both showed signs of selective mutism. And because my sister was much younger and having her whole world just change, having moved here when she was really little, caused her to become very fearful. And even in conversations, it was very hard to look people in the eye, which is why mental health specialists actually thought that she had autism because of just how under-socialized we were as kids. And we did go to an elite school, which is why everything was so much more difficult because we couldn't really catch up with our peers. And my little sister, she's a year younger than me, she was actually a lot smarter than me growing up, so she was the golden child. And due to how close we were in age, we were always compared and pitted against one another. And I was always told that I had to give things up that I wanted or like loved because I was her older sister. And due to having give up something that I really liked or loved at that time, I feel like that made me grow up to be an adult with a lot of insecurity because it made me feel like nothing truly belonged to me, and it felt wrong for me to want things, especially good things, for a long time. So as I grew older, I still didn't have much friends, and also personally because I didn't really like talking about my mental health struggles or any problems I had, because most of the friends I had at the time were all more or less severely depressed and that they were battling with suicidal thoughts. So personally, I didn't want to place any burden on my friends. I was fearful that I was pushing my own problems onto them and that what if they didn't like me anymore, or like it was selfish of me because their problems felt so much bigger than mine, especially during the period of like national exams where all my friends were just really in a bad mood, they were really depressed, and it made me want to be someone that was there for them. So I really suppressed all my problems and just put on this really bubbly and happy image.
No, this must be so tough for you to handle as like what, a 15, 16-year-old kid, a teen?
I think it was alright because relationships were something and is something that I value a lot, and also at the time because of the fact that I had really little going for me, so I really put a lot in my relationships, which is why friendship breakups were so difficult wherever I fought with my friends, and then I just really wanted to please them because I just really wanted friends.
Oh, okay, I think we all been there before, but I totally can understand how you feel. So like, from all these experiences, what do you like gain? What do you learn?
Maybe appearances aren't everything, because the fact that I definitely have my own struggles, and sometimes when I would try to cheer my friends up, they would say things like, oh, it's not like someone like you would get it, and
Wait,
it
did
was
you say
very,
that to you?
yeah, it was
my
really hurtful because of the fact that I was trying to be brave and I was trying to not talk about my problems because I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer and make things worse or make them sadder than they already are, and for them to say that, it was really hurtful. Like, what do you mean I wouldn't get it? I'm trying my best to empathize with you. So it happens every now and then still. I just brush it off because I know that they have no ill intentions, and also because I know it's very easy for you to be so sucked into your own life and find it hard to look at things through the lens of others.
Right, that's true.
So, okay, let me continue about some of my other struggles. Okay, so this is a little personal. So I was actually born to a household where you were saying stuff like, oh, I need to lose weight or I need to go on a diet is very normalized. And I felt like if I wasn't skinny, then I wasn't good enough. And because of the fact that I was a competitive dancer, and like I had a very traditional and really strict teacher, so I was always watched for my weight, and she would say things like, oh, gaining weight would slow you down, it would make you sloppy, and due to that it caused a fear of eating for me, and then it caused me to really hate eating. Even now I feel like eating feels like a chore.
You just need to survive, right?
Yeah, and it feels like not okay. I wouldn't say it feels like, because it's actually like the truth. I do have a really poor relationship with food, and even now I have really poor appetite, and sometimes I feel like it isn't something that I need to do, so I often forget to eat unless I'm actually hungry.
I think I definitely understand where you're coming from for this one, because I myself was a dancer. So I think the being skinny part is what every dancers hate to hear from their dance
Definitely,
teachers,
when you're so little.
Yeah, and you know, like at their age, especially when we are still growing, right? We definitely will just want to eat whatever we want.
Right.
So having to restrain ourselves from not eating certain stuff is definitely really hard, because we were all still growing.
Definitely, looking back and thinking about how much I could have grown if I ate more, that makes me genuinely upset, because I actually want to grow taller.
You're taller
wish-
than me.
I wish I were taller.
Yeah, but like having not being able to eat like our donuts, chocolates when we were young, I think we are missing out a lot on our childhood.
Right, I had really terrible food bans where I wasn't allowed to eat fried food. I wasn't allowed to have like soft drinks. I wasn't allowed to have snacks. And then due to that, I think the first time I had KFC, I was actually 15.
No way.
Yeah, actually, and I think even up till now, I rarely eat KFC, but I do have an addiction to burgers. I really love burgers. I think due to the fact that my diet was so restrictive, I just can't resist burgers. Like just stuff that I wasn't allowed to have growing up are my guilty pleasures now. Okay, so enough about that. Right now, so Megan, what do you do to de-stress?
I think, okay, because I'm someone that hates to be at home. Like I generally think that I have
We're
like
opposites.
ADHD or something. Like I cannot sit still. So like one day of staying at home will bore me out. So I will just do my favorite activities, like I said earlier, like boxing or spinning. Sometimes if I feel like indulging myself a bit, I will just do shopping and cafe hopping. If not, I'll go out with my friends. Yeah, and I think for shopping wise, because I'm someone that can buy alone, so I think like sometimes, you know, even if my friends are busy, because we all have different schedules, right? I would just bring myself out for a treat and, you know, bring myself to different shopping places, treat myself a little bit here and there, pamper myself just to make myself feel happy. So yeah, what about you?
So right now, especially because I'm a senior, I'm in my final year, so I definitely have a lot of work. My best way to de-stress is just to take a nap, because I'm someone with very little free time, and it's not exactly a choice. I just have a lot on my plate, so definitely I would watch old shows. I rewatch old shows, watch my comfort movie. Currently, whenever I'm stressed, I will watch Adventure Time or like Phineas and Ferb. Just revisiting old childhood comfort shows takes me back to a time where things were a lot better. So those were one of the ways that I would de-stress. Other than that, I have very consistent rituals before bedtime. So I would do like my skincare routine, stuff like getting ready to school. Definitely dressing up makes me feel a lot better. Like hanging out with friends, taking pictures. But I think because of how hectic my schedule is and how things are currently, I think the fastest way is just to take a nap or like watch an episode of Adventure Time. So now on to the next segment, which we have rapid fire questions to get to know us. Some light-hearted fun where we answer rapid fire questions and allow you guys to connect with our personalities. So first of all, tea or coffee and why?
For me, I think I would prefer matcha latte. And why? Well, actually, I'm also not sure why, but I just like the taste of it compared to coffee. But like, fun fact was that I did not like coffee at all, only until like when I started uni. Then I just realized that I had to drink coffee to get myself through the day,
Right.
because matcha latte wasn't enough for me.
It wasn't cutting it.
Yes, it wasn't.
So would you say the matcha latte is like your favorite beverage?
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite still.
Likewise. Okay, so personally, I'm actually a tea person, and just something personal due to the fact that I had severe side effects from the COVID-19 vaccine. For a very long time, I couldn't have caffeine, and there was once I had one shot of like espresso, and I was sent to the A&E.
Huh? Wait, serious?
Yeah, for real. I
Because
was
like-
sent to the A&E because my resting heart rate elevated to 150, 160.
Oh my
It
god.
was really high, and I thought that was it for me.
Oh my god, I'm so glad you're okay right now.
Definitely. And recently, I've been very into flower teas. I've always been a tea person. Yeah, and matcha latte is also one of my other favorites. Either that or for coffee, I would have a caramel latte or a vanilla latte, definitely.
Okay, moving on to your favorite comfort food. What's your favorite comfort food?
I would say my favorite comfort food other than burger, so it would definitely be pasta or rice. I'm an Asian person. I
Like
love
just rice?
Yeah,
Like any kind of rice?
Any kind of rice. Fried rice, just rice.
I think for me, I personally like soup, like ramen, or just like any kinds of soup. Like, you know those soups from Soup Spoon, those Western soups, or like even Chinese soups, like lotus root with pork ribs. Oh my god, that's my favorite, especially when you like eat it with rice. I think I can eat that for like days and weeks.
I'm starting to be hungry now.
We just had our lunch. We had poke bowl for our lunch.
Okay, so enough with that. What are our MBTIs?
For me, I have always been I, and I hover around ISTJ and ISFJ. And previously, before this recording, I did the test, and I was ISFJ. Previously, I was ISTJ.
I see. I think my personality has been rather stagnant or consistent because when I was 15, my MBTI used to be INFP. But I think when I was like 17, 2 years later, when I retook the test, I became an INFJ, and it has been pretty consistent since then. My percentages stay around the same, other than the fact that about 2 years ago, I used to be about 70% introverted, but it went up a notch. I hit 100% introversion, which was new to me, and I think is something that my friends find rather shocking.
Yeah, because you don't seem like an introvert person at all.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You should.
So, what would you say is your go-to self-care activity?
I think I would say like cafe hopping again. I'll keep
Again?
saying it again and again because I think it's the only thing that makes me genuinely happy,
Right.
even though it's just food. But like you guys have no idea how food makes me so happy because it's so like aesthetically pleasing.
Right, I do love a sweet treat myself. And I think my go-to self-care activity would just be doing my skincare, taking a shower, and going to bed. That's my favorite part of the day.
Just simple, right?
Definitely. And with that said, I think I'm more of a night owl than a morning person, actually.
I'm definitely morning. I think people always call me crazy for this because I always wake up at like 6 a.m. and my day starts at 6 a.m. basically. And I sleep at like 10:30 to like 11:30.
Megan goes to bed really early and she wakes up really early. Sometimes, some days when I pull all-nighters, when I go to bed,
I'm
that's
awake.
the time where she's awake. It's
Yeah, I just feel more productive in the morning, you know?
So let's talk about mornings. What's a song that puts you in a good mood?
You want to guess this one?
I think it's a song that I introduced to
Yes.
Megan. I told her a while ago that this is what gives me the motivation to get to school every morning.
So it's Chapel Roan, Hot to Go. So ever since Claire introduced to me that song, I've been playing that song every morning. And she was right about it. It kept me motivated throughout
Right,
the
it gives
entire
you some
day.
sort of adrenaline rush. They put
Yeah.
something in that song.
Yes.
I think for me it would be Buzz by Nicki. It just makes me just love life and just how wonderful life is, despite how cringe-worthy that sounds.
Then what's one quirky habit you have? I think for me, I tend to frown unknowingly. So like even when I'm just like casually just looking somewhere, I would just have this weird frown on my face. And how I realized about it was that when I went to did my eyebrows, right, the beautician or the person that was doing my brows, basically, she was like, do you know that you tend to frown? Then I was like, oh, I didn't know. Am I frowning right now? And then she was like, yeah. So I think that's one like very bad habit of mine. Like I just tend to unknowingly frown.
You gotta watch out for wrinkles.
Yeah, I'm gonna have some frown lines soon.
Okay, so a quirky habit that I have, maybe I would say, well, I actually sleep talk, and sometimes because I have really weird dreams, I will wake up screaming. I mean, I don't really wake up, like I just sit up screaming in the middle of the night, and my family finds it extremely disturbing.
Oh no! Then how like do you like say like oh sorry and then like you go back to sleep?
No,
Or,
because
like...
I don't know. I'm asleep, so I can't control it. It's just something weird, and apparently I would have full-on conversations in my sleep sometimes.
So like do you remember what you talk about?
No, I don't. I don't remember the dreams most of the time unless it's really bizarre. But my dreams don't make sense. Okay, next. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I think personally for me, there's this okay because like I said earlier on, I'm very into self-help books right now, right? So I've read this book called The Courage to Be Disliked. It's a very famous book, but I forget like who wrote the book. But in the book, there's this one phrase that says the reason why so many people don't really feel happy while they are building up their success in the eye of society was because they are always living in competition. So basically, I think it resonates with me a lot because it basically made me realize that life isn't always about competition. It's more about living in the moment, enjoying the process. And I think that definitely woke me up because it taught me to be a little less hard on myself and just enjoy the process, learn, grow, experience new things. So yeah, what about you?
What? That's the opposite of what I have and what I'm about to say. I think
no.
the best piece of advice, okay, I think, well, like my favorite piece of advice, it's not really advice. I think because I'm someone who's very critical of myself, I'm someone who holds myself to very high standards. So 2 quotes that resonates with me, one would be, you can't do it or you won't do it.
Wait, say again?
You can't do it or you won't do it. Like if someone says they can't do something, it's like, oh, like you can't do it or you won't do it. Like what's stopping you from doing it?
Right. Okay.
Basically, it's like you cannot do it or you will not do it. That's like just a breakdown. And the other one would be day 1 or 1 day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think you can tell we're both
Yeah.
very different people. I'm very like tough on myself and I am very critical. And I think maybe another piece of advice would definitely be, don't let other people who haven't been in your shoes tell you how to tie your laces. I think it's very hard for people to understand what you've been through, and it's not being critical of others, but more so of like people don't understand your struggles unless, or like, even though in some cases you've told them about it. So just take everything with a grain of salt. Nothing is ever that deep.
Yeah, Claire always tells me it's not so deep, it's not too deep.
Yeah, don't take everything too personally.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, the only person you're hurting is yourself. Okay, now next question. If you weren't in psychology, what other major would you choose to pursue?
Oh, I think for this one, I would definitely want to pursue food science and nutrition because it was something that I've been wanting to pursue or something I was very interested in aside from psychology since like secondary school, because like in secondary school I had the food science course, right? So like I think different schools call it differently, but my school was like food and nutrition or something like that.
Right.
So like basically we just cook food and like we get to bring it home, and we also learn about food nutrition and different parts of food, like I think the food the properties of the food as well.
As you can tell, Megan loves food.
Yes, I'm a foodie, guys. So yeah, so I wanted to study that, but I didn't manage to get into poly under that course. So it led to me like, you know, pursuing what I'm pursuing right now, as stated earlier in my decision why I want to change from my poly diploma.
Right. I think for me, because of the fact that I didn't really want to 100% commit into med or like med school, but I was really interested in occupational therapy, how to get people's lives like back on track and how to make people's everyday life a lot easier, getting used to things. I think that's really inspiring, and it's very heartwarming as well, being able to help others. And definitely another thing I was really interested in is radiology, other than forensic and neuroscience. But definitely, if I were not a psychology student, I was almost a international relations student, either that or international business or marketing. So it's pretty different from what I'm currently doing now.
Different view.
Definitely. Okay, so what's a recent movie or TV show that you love?
I think I haven't been watching much, but the latest one that I would say that I enjoyed the most was New Amsterdam. My mom influenced me to watch this show
that's so cute.
because I saw her watching it on the TV in our living room, and it was so happening because you know all the medical scenes.
Right.
So I think that was something that like caught my attention, so I decided to watch it myself on Netflix.
I see. I think for me, this isn't really a recent movie. One of the comfort movies that I have that came out recently, last year, was Elementals. It's just so cute and so heartwarming, and I just love the premise of it.
So the last question would be, what's something you're currently learning or want to learn? I think for me, I would say crochet, because I always find it so satisfying. Like I've seen people like crochet like really fast on like MRT trains, and I did try it once before. Like I tried to start off as a beginner by crocheting coasters, but it took me 2 weeks just to crochet one.
It takes a while. I think it's muscle memory.
Yeah, so I really like, you know, look up to all these people who do like crochet works. Like you guys are amazing. Hopefully I can be like you guys one day too.
One day. Okay, for me, I used to play the electric bass when I was 18, and it's something that I'm looking to get into because it's something that I am pretty interested in, especially because I own a bass and I haven't touched it in a while since my teenage years, so it's something that I'm looking to pick up again, hopefully. Likewise for singing and maybe acting, because those were things that I pursued in my teenage years. That would be all for today. We shared the reasons why we wanted to start this podcast, and I hope you enjoyed listening to us. So from now on, we'll be uploading on the first Friday of every month.
Yay.
And thank you for listening in, and goodbye.
Bye.